Thanks for watching HCAM. If you want to help create content like this, become an HCAM member. As a member, you'll have access to professional quality equipment and software, as well as guidance from HCAM staff. Come see us at 35 Pond Park Road, Suite 8, conveniently located near Route 3 and Derby Street in Hingham.
Hi there, and welcome once again to Cooking with Love. And as you can tell, we have a very special show today. It's not one we've done before. I have definitely been inside the house that I'm at now, which is my parents', but today we're outside. We're outside and we have barbecue going on today, and we're going to be doing some smoking, and I am quite sure you're going to love it. And one of the best things about today's show is that I'm actually not going to do a big part of it. As you have heard me countless times on every show I've done, thank a gentleman by the name of Fred Hickson, who's always behind the camera. Today I convinced him to come out in front of the camera because he's the master smoker, and he's going to teach us all about the smokers themselves, how to do it. We're going to cook some pork ribs and some chicken, and I'm really looking forward to it. So without any further ado, let's get Fred in front of the camera this time. Fred, come on around. And we're going to start by talking about some of the smokers and all. But before we do that, why don't we let you take a few minutes and tell us how did you get into this? What happened here?
Well, one day I've been hearing all about this great Southern barbecue, and I was thinking, don't we have anything like this up in New England that they can replicate it? And then I saw New England Barbecue Society.
Oh.
And I said, thank God for the internet. They probably did it justice for me just so I can learn this craft, because it's an incredible craft to learn.
It is.
And so they had a competition class. I took the competition class. I picked up pretty quick on it. And then I said, this is the only way to barbecue.
There we go.
And it's an actual affordable way too. You can spend a lot of money on smokers, or you can spend as little. I spent about $400 for the smoker I have now.
Great.
But it is a Weber Smoky Mountain, and it's going to last you 10 plus years.
Nice.
Because that's how.
Now, when I looked at your smoker, Fred, I realized it's I've never seen a smoker before. I am not a smoker. I will be after this, I'm quite sure. But I noticed a couple things about it. Number one, it comes in pieces, and I know that you can, hopefully you'll be able to show some of the pictures we took of you setting it all up. But one of the interesting things I found in it was there is a whole pan of water in there. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes. This Weber Smoky Mountain is known as a water smoker. There are a lot of brands that have water smoker, and what the water brings to the table is you can control the temperature a lot easier. Usually when you're smoking Kansas City style barbecue meats, you smoke around 225 to 275, a low and slow smoke. There are some competition teams that are going higher, but that takes a lot more used to cooking that temperature.
I bet.
Because the big thing when you're going low and slow is you're slowly melting the collagen in the meat, and that's where all that flavor comes. If you ever had a boiled rib and you see that little like rubbery shiny thing on the bone, that's the collagen that from its boil. It's not going to
it's not going to break down
and go into the meat.
Gotcha.
And you'll smell it when these ribs get up to about 180 190 degrees. You'll smell the pork and you go, wow, that smells incredible. That's going to taste delicious.
Very
and
excited.
It does.
Yeah, it's too bad you aren't here to taste it with us. Happily I am. Okay, so then there are different kinds of smokers. Now, the benefit of using the water in a smoker is for moisture, obviously.
You're getting
right?
moisture, yes. You are supplying moisture. It's not that dry of an environment as you would just a regular wood smoker, or just charcoal. Some people put sand in it if they want to get it hotter. Some people will cook hotter in the Weber Smoky Mountains instead of water. Okay. That it helps monitor the temperature a little easier.
Right.
Because we'll be cooking out. This should probably be down at last time I looked it was down about 295, but eventually we want to get it down to 275. When we put the meat in, the temperature is going to drop.
Right.
And then it'll try and correct itself right now. I have it set up so 275, 270 is our target temperature for ribs and chicken.
Ribs and chicken. Okay, great. And we're cooking both today, so we're very excited about that. All right, well, great then. Let's get started. I know what we're going to do in the show is first we're going to have Fred get all the meat prepared. He's going to tell us a little bit about the rub he created, and we'll give you a recipe for that. And then so he's going to prepare and get the ribs in, and then we're going to do the same thing with the chicken. And then while all that's smoking, I'm going to come back and show you a couple of great sides you can do with this. So I'm going to let Fred start by telling us about the ribs he bought. I noticed these say St. Louis style, and I'm not sure if you know the difference between that and other styles. Maybe you can tell us about that.
Yes.
Go ahead, and your knife, I think, is over there to open them up.
A St. Louis style rib is basically this part of the rib cage,
Okay.
where baby backs would be higher up on the rib cage. They're
They're a little
easy
more
to cook.
tender.
They're a bit more tender, a little bit more fat involved
Okay.
up in that area. And basically this is like this big,
Okay.
and they trim it down
Halfway there.
so
or-
it's almost like a rectangle. These
Okay.
pointers, I mean, if this was a competition style, this would be trimmed to a rectangle.
like a pure rectangle, beautiful.
just to
piece
make
of
it
meat
look
there.
good. Then when they cut it, everything's uniform for presentation. 'Cause that's a big thing. In a competition barbecue, you want to do presentation, tenderness, and flavor.
Great.
And that's what's being judged on. And I've judged about 15 Kansas City Barbecue Society contests, which is a fun thing to do if you ever get a chance, because you'll taste some of the best barbecue, even in the Northeast, some of the best barbecue.
I bet.
We've got guys that have won Kansas City,
Really?
L'Oreal, and first place, and got 3 teams, I think, that won the Jack Daniels,
Oh.
which is a prestigious one.
Yeah, it sure is. So great. But before I let you jump in, I just want to explain a couple things you're seeing here, right? Because we're outside, and oftentimes you're going to do barbecuing stuff outside. The important thing, of course, too, is to make sure that it's as easy as possible for you to keep your things clean, keep things sanitary, etc. So actually, Fred gave me a couple ideas for this particular shoot, and one is about this cutting board. Within here is a cutting board. And we have 3 layers of foil on top of it. So what will happen is, as he opens up this pork and he does whatever he does with it and rubs it, when he's done, we can just close that foil up, that first layer, and toss it away. You don't have to worry about washing and all that. Then the next layer we'll use for the chicken, and then we're going to throw that away. And I have a final one that's covering the board, just to make sure that that's even easier when we get home. We can just close that up and put almost an extremely clean board right back into our stuff, which is nice. And then I've done the same thing on my table here. This is a butcher paper, which I happen to have. You may not, but you can certainly buy it easily enough. It's like a freezer paper. And all I've done is a couple layers of it right here. Again, if juices fall once we open them, we're out in the main open here. There's no sinks and things like that around. So it's just a way to help make your life a lot easier, and certainly your cleaning easier, which is something I really don't like doing. So with that, go for it.
Okay, basically, these are basically trimmed St. Louis style, but what I want to do is I'm going to just take them out, pat them dry, and I'm going to take a thin membrane off on the back. And the reason I want to do that is when I put the rub on, I'll get a full coverage back and front. With that membrane, it'll kind of prevent the rub, almost a protection to the meat, and prevent the rub from penetrating the meat. Not that it's going to penetrate a lot, but there's going to be some flavor there. And the big key, I'm going to add a lot of rub to this, and by adding a lot of rub to this, I'm going to create what's known as a bark. It's going to be a hard, sugary, just a lot of good stuff. It's something I can't explain it to you, but it's delicious when you taste it. Even if I don't put a barbecue sauce on it, these ribs just with the rub will be delicious, and nothing else.
So
So
do you put your rub on, and then when it's cooked, you put some sauces on it? Is
Yeah,
that how that works?
basically
That's
how
the
it works.
smoking works usually?
The last 5 to 10 minutes you're saucing.
Got it.
That's it. You don't want to burn the sauce. You just want to get the water to evaporate out of the sauce so it sticks to the meat.
Wonderful.
And that's all you have.
All right, go for it.
Let's get on some gloves.
I have some paper towels here for you. Put that, and we have trash right on you. It's always best, again, too, if you can, bring gloves with you, because that helps all kinds of things from a cleanliness standpoint, clearly. Bring a couple pairs, because you want to use different ones for pork versus chicken, as you should know. Alright, so now he's pulling that out. I'll take this out of your way. Beautiful. Move this over here. Alright, so that membrane right there.
Basically, this membrane. I'm going to do this.
So you
What we'll
start.
do is,
Go for it.
I'm just going to thinly take this.
So slide the knife under there.
Okay, now usually when you get that done, it gets easier.
Take a piece of paper towel. We sure can.
So now what I want to do is grab that membrane and just pull.
Excellent. And you notice you used a paper towel, it's because that's very wet and slippery, so if you use a paper towel to hold it, you can pull it much more easily.
And if you like, you can trim up some of this stuff.
A lot of that will render itself off though, right? But
Pretty
you don't
much.
want to get rid of the bark to do it.
Exactly. So got that one. Let's do this one.
So that's about 6 or 7 pounds of ribs we've got right in front of you now, right?
Yeah, you're looking about 6 or 7.
So you see sliding the knife at the very end, just getting right underneath it, just sliding a very sharp pointed knife and releasing the edge.
And the trick to that is staying on the bone,
Okay.
and then you can kind of slide up the bone that way.
Okay. So try to get all the way down. You can see it from here, I'm quite sure. How you can see the bare bone there. And now he's going to pull that piece off. Oop. Okay. Doesn't want to leave. There we go.
It is a slippery little guy.
Yes. And then, do you want to take this little piece off too, or no? Can you do that? Slide him in right there, or is that all
No,
good?
that's
You leave, you're
that's
okay?
actually that's not bad.
Okay, great.
I mean, if I were to do a barbecue contest,
you would take that off?
I would trim all this fat off.
Oh, really?
Because anything that will help the bark, promote the bark to get better on this
I
is
gotcha.
where the big flavor is going to be.
I got you. Okay.
And
But when you're at home and not in a competition, this is sufficient.
see, the thing in a competition, it's all about that one bite.
Ah,
So if you, for instance, let's say you had a barbecue restaurant and you cooked the way they did, you'd be out of business. Because they put so much work. If you ever read some of the things these guys do,
I bet.
like the chicken that we're gonna do, they actually take the skin off, scrape the fat off,
And put it back on.
and then put it back on so they get bite-through chicken.
Wow.
If you can believe that, that's a lot of work.
That's
they
love. That's cooking with love,
And they're
Fred.
doing
There
at
you
least
go.
they're doing at least 24 chicken thighs.
Uh-huh.
And that's another thing. Chicken thighs are very easy to cook. They're very forgiving,
Yes, they are.
considering if you do a breast, which breast will come out great
But
if
you
you know
gotta
how to cook
keep
it.
right, you got to keep a very close eye. My experience is everybody in the world overcooks chicken because they're so scared that it's not going to be cooked enough. Bottom line is it's either cooked or it's not. 165 degrees and you're good to go. It doesn't have to get higher than that. So
That was the thing I learned at that class as well. They said, they showed me this thing they call a thermopin. This will be the best thing, but even better than your knife, this thermopin. Because knowing that temperature
it's critical.
is critical. Steak, chicken, especially chicken. Because now I can cook a breast
Yeah.
and say, oh, this is good. And put a nice little
And you'll
sauce
have
on
juice in it and all that. And it's because you guys are, if you have, every time you cook a chicken breast, especially on the grill, if you're thinking it always comes out too dry, buy yourself a good thermometer, or like you call it a thermopen, and watch it. 165, get it off that grill. Actually, you can get it off the grill at about 160 because it's going to go up a few, but, and let it rest. As is true of cooking any meats, you need to let them rest, whether they come off the grill, out of your broiler, out of your saute pan. Once they're cooked, cover them with foil. Give them 5 minutes. I know it sounds like a long time, but it really isn't. And it makes a huge, huge difference. All right, so we're gonna cook about 12, 13 pounds of ribs here. I don't know who's coming over, but that's okay.
We'll have leftovers.
That works for me.
This is actually a piece of the skirt steak they normally would take off.
Oh yes.
For some reason, they did a pretty good job. I actually Restaurant Depot, they actually have these on. Why, I don't know, but they used to at BJ's as well. These I got from BJ's, they don't anymore. Because I take them off and cook them.
Oh yeah.
Because it's a nice little piece of skirt
Sure,
steak.
sure.
Anytime you can reuse meat or anything like that,
Yeah.
that's really not going to be complement this at all. It's gonna cook differently, and it's just not going to be. And it's a different cut of meat.
Right. Right. It's much darker, as you can see, and different flavors, different textures. Excellent. So he's just sliding his knife right under there, as you can see. And then piece of paper towel. Let you grab on. And then pull it off. And it should come off really well, just like that. Now there's nothing you can do with that membrane afterwards, right? We're just going to toss that?
No, that's
There's
good.
no flavor available to us in that?
No.
Or? Okay.
That's like silver skinning it down,
Right.
that membrane. So silver skin is the silver skin one. I usually take it off a tenderloin. I like the pork tenderloin.
Pork tenderloins has that very shiny, thin skin. That's called silver skin. Some beefs have it. Beef has it too in certain cuts, but for now, it is a membrane, not so much a silver skin that we got going on here. These look fab. Nice. So it's actually, smoking is actually, I shouldn't say a relatively easy way to cook, because there is quite a bit of prep in terms of, getting your rub together. But once you do, there's not a lot of stuff involved.
It's more preparation than it is cooking. Because once it's in the smoker, your best you're doing your sides, or you're just laying in a hammock drinking beer. That's the big thing about barbecue. Once you do all your prep work, and once it's in that smoker,
You just sit and wait.
game over.
There you go. Excellent. So he's doing the last one now, and then we're gonna do some smoking. We're gonna rub them, I think, right?
Yes.
And then we're going to coming in.
No, I'm going out.
We're taping. You say, and Mom's coming in
Yeah.
to say hello to us too.
Hi, everybody.
And you all recognize her from inside the house show.
Yeah, right.
So here we are doing some smoking of the ribs.
Oh, that's great.
All right.
Okay, I'll see you shortly.
Okay.
Alrighty.
We'll be back for the tasting.
Okay.
All right.
We have plenty. That's
Yes.
For sure. I'll leave that there. I'm not gonna go crazy trimming them up like they would in a competition.
You're all set. So we're good to trim. We're good to go. All trimming done. Oh,
Yeah.
another piece of this. I'm sorry. All right. I'm
just-
slacking in my responsibilities here.
Just gonna rub this
Oh, we're gonna
down.
pat them all dry now. That's the next piece, right? If you want to put them over here as you do it, that might
Even better.
help keep it. Whoop. Go ahead. I got a little wind's getting a little way. There we go. The next one, probably should fit 3 of them side by side, and the 4th you can work on. How's that? All right.
There'll be a little loose there, probably. Trim this off.
Good. And there we go. Last one right there. Oh. All right.
A quick pad.
Oh yeah.
I could trim that off, but I'm kind of liking it.
Alrighty, there we go. So we have all 4 ready to go now. Let's get rid of. You want to I'll take all this
Yeah.
away for you. Give you some room. Yeah. Put that in the trash. And then. All right. So now, tell me, when people put the rubs on, there's many different ways they do it. Correct? You can throw it under there. When we were chatting a little while ago before the show, he was telling me about mustards and starting with something like that. Why don't you tell us about the kinds of things you've done, what the things are that you like the most, and what we're going to do today?
Usually, most competition cookers, when they cook ribs or the big pork butts for the pulled pork, they'll put a mustard slather on it.
Okay.
The mustard, it helps. Obviously, the vinegar helps tenderize the meat a little, but it also works as meat glue, they like to call it.
Okay.
So it sticks. I'm really not a big fan of using mustard. I just use a ton of rub,
Okay.
and you'll see. I mean, a ton of rub. And other things they'll do. They'll do all kinds of things other than mustard, but usually mustard's like the main.
The
thing.
main thing.
Usually up in the Northeast.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then they put the rub on it, and the rubs can take all kinds of different forms, right?
Yes, they can. Actually, I got a couple brands I've been trying out. This is actually pretty good. I've been trying these Stubbs products. I'm probably not supposed to promote any of this stuff,
Probably.
but right now out of the bottle, and this rub is actually pretty good.
Okay. But there's
And
all
that's something
different
get at
kinds
the
you
store.
can buy, right?
This guy is actually a Texas legend
Oh.
for rubs.
Yes, you've probably
And
all seen his
sauces.
barbecue sauces. I think you have some over there too.
Yes.
And then that's another one.
We'll talk about the sauces later. I'm really impressed with the sauces. And this is a Texas brisket. They call it chupacabra.
Chupacabra.
And I actually got this from one of the sales guys I support. And I gave him a couple books on Texas barbecue and Texas Tex-Mex cooking once I was finished reading them. I don't like to throw books out, so I give them to people and enjoy them. So he sent me this, and that's another good rub, which will work on anything.
Nice.
And I got a couple other. I probably, like I said, I probably wouldn't drop names, but I usually do my own.
Which
Because
we're gonna do
I
today.
tend to go to with a sweeter rub with less salt. And this happens to be the rub that I made last night. Let's see if I can remember it off the top of my head. I have 2 cups of light brown sugar. I have a half a cup of paprika. I have a tablespoon of onion powder, tablespoon of garlic powder, tablespoon of salt, half a tablespoon of black pepper, and a teaspoon of mace, a teaspoon of cumin, a teaspoon of cinnamon, and a teaspoon of allspice.
Nice.
And that's what I have in this rub.
Basically, you just emptied out your spice cabinet.
And if I had mustard, I would have put that in there as well.
Oh, wow.
And
Beautiful.
if I wasn't too lazy, I probably would have ground up some cloves.
There you go. All right.
But
So
yeah,
there's so many different types of things you can do, but we're going to go with this one, obviously, which is a little on the sweet side.
yeah. Would you like to try a little taste?
Well, I suppose I should lick my fingers first, huh? Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's nice. That you can definitely immediately taste the sweet, and then I got the cumin, which if you've had chilies and things like that, that's that flavor you taste. But wow, that's really nice. Oh, I can't wait to try it. Okay, so let's go ahead and see where we go with the rubs here. I'll put this back here. Oh, so you're just pouring it right on. There's no...
Just give it a little rub.
Wow.
And this is a 2-step process.
Oh,
So it's going to get, see, if you're noticing it right here,
yeah,
it's starting to get a little wet.
right.
So a lot of this will just go right into the meat,
Yeah.
and then we'll just do another rub.
Wow. And now do you rub both sides or just one?
Both sides.
There we go.
And the nice thing about this is can be the one glove method. You can have the nice dry hand or the hand without the glove without touching the meat.
Nice. Oh, that's going to be fabulous right there. That sugar is going to make this just amazing. Wow.
Try to get it on all sides.
Even on the edges, you want to, again, make it all step up. Can I help you in any way? You look like you're doing just fine, so tell me if you want me to do something.
Nah, actually,
Okay. Next one.
this out of the way.
I imagine you can just do them and then stack them until you're ready and then bring them back down and right
Yeah.
onto the grill.
Yep.
Okay, so this is pretty simple. As he's doing this, we'll let him finish doing that. You can see actually, since he's taken that membrane off, as soon as it hits the meat, it is actually getting a little wet here, which probably would not have happened quite so quickly had that membrane been left on there, and therefore the spices not hit that meat directly. This is a little bit of a messy job, clearly.
Yes.
Yes.
Well,
But it's one you
fun.
kind of have to do right before you put them in, though, correct?
Yeah, this is, I mean, you could let them sit around for maybe an hour or so, but
Not too much more than that. Because they're all, if you do that, I imagine you have to keep them separate, though, so they don't, because this is going to create wet in between. Mm-hmm. And so if you do want to do them ahead of time, don't do them too far ahead of time, and don't stack them, I would say. Let's leave them separate, maybe out on some large foil or something like that. I wish you guys could smell this rub.
Yeah, it smells
The
really
rub smells fantastic. And between the rub and the apple smoked chips he's got over there, I'm surprised we don't have neighbors starting to come round here. They probably will. They're gonna wait until it's done, I'm guessing.
it's funny. Do you know how you know when you have good, for me, good smoked barbecue ribs? Is you say, I can't smell the smoke, but once you're done, you can smell the smoke in your hands. And that's how you tell the good stuff. There's not too much smoke.
Uh-huh.
Well, at least I don't like too much smoke, and if their judges don't like too much smoke, so
Now, have you ever competed?
no.
Is that something you hope to do?
I thought about it, but I would, if I got 4 people that did something, okay, we'll think about it, because it's a lot of work.
Really?
And the reward of winning, because you're playing against really good teams. I mean, these guys know what they're doing.
Yeah.
And even though when I'm a judge, I know what looks good, what tastes good, I would still, even with this rub, I probably still have to work on it.
Yeah.
And again, the key, when you're a barbecue team, that one bite is where you're gonna make your impression. Mm-hmm. And the judges can be pretty tough.
I bet. Well, they've certainly got a lot to choose from. That'd be why. So he's tapping it on the edges there, trying to even get it there. Oh, this is going to be so good. I cannot wait. I'm going to save some of that for the chicken, though.
What we got left? I think I probably won't do a complete double rub.
Or we could use a different rub on the chicken.
We could.
Up to you.
Or maybe I'll have enough to do
There you go.
a little of both.
Excellent. All right, the last one here, and then we're going to go back and we're going to double rub them, and then we're going to put them into the smoker and show you where they go. There's actually in the smoker, there's 2 different levels. And when we put these, are we going on the top level with these or the bottom?
The bottom level with the ribs.
The ribs will go on the bottom level, which is of course a little more challenging, right?
Well, the
Well,
top
actually,
rib
the top one will come off, so you can just fit it in.
Plus, the
Okay.
chicken cooks faster,
Okay, all right.
so I don't have
So
to.
you're putting these closer to the
I don't
heat.
have to play that meat. What is it? Meat musical chairs.
No, yes, there you go. So we're going to put the ribs on the bottom layer, bottom grill, and we're going to put the chicken on top of that for the reasons he just mentioned. And that'll be happening very shortly here.
Yeah, it'll be nice to start cooking.
Yeah. Now, how long are these going to take?
These cooking at 275, I would say maybe 2 to 3 hours.
Okay.
We'll just be cooking them, no special things like wrapping them in foil or anything like that, which is known as the Texas crutch. What they will do is they cook the ribs so they get their smoke, and once they get their smoke, they put like butter and a bunch of other stuff, brown sugar and stuff, in the foil and just wrap it, and then cook it for another hour to kind of steam the rib,
Wow.
and then finish to get the bark like another hour,
Wow.
and that's usually how they'll do it in a competition.
Nice.
It's a lot of wrap stuff.
Nice.
So
So now, as you said, we're going to go back with the second rub, and after we do that, we are going to bring them on over to the grill, put them on, and then come back and do our chicken, right?
yes. Pretty good coverage on this. Usually I just want to get the wet spots,
Yep.
and I'm
It
just going
does
to
look
do the
good.
tops.
It's fully covered, it looks like. Nice. Oh, so good.
This is the first for me. See, I get to cook for her now, and her
Yeah,
say,
that
that
works.
smells good," instead of me saying, "Wow, that tastes good, Linda." I have made the strawberry salad twice so far.
Is that not amazing?
I still can't believe it.
That's right. If you looked at our last episode, there's some salads that are really pretty amazing. Not ones that I would have ever given out while I still had my restaurant, but now that I don't, I did. So definitely take a look there.
Actually, all of them were. I was shocked at the fresh broccoli one.
Oh, that's so good too.
Really? Fresh broccoli?
Yeah. Raw broccoli, delicious.
And it was delicious.
Yes, it is pretty amazing.
Okay,
All right,
so
so we're over to we're gonna be back in a moment. We want to do that?
yeah, I think we should get cooking.
Yes.
We've been doing everything else so far today. Let's start some cooking. What do you say?
Okay, that sounds good.
Awesome.
So we're going to bring this on over, show you how we put them on the grill, and then we'll go from there. And come back and do some same thing with chicken. And welcome back. All right, so when you saw him put the ribs in the smoker, there's a couple things I noticed. So let's ask the chef about them. He first of all, he had some strange contraption. I think you built that. I have no idea how.
Yes.
But it looks like a kind of a wire thing on its side with chopsticks and all. But the whole purpose of that was for you to be able to cook them standing on their side.
Yes.
So tell me about why would you do that, or is that a good way to do it for a particular reason, or just because you fit more? What is it that?
There are two reasons actually, but how I made it, that is actually a rib rack. But it's a rib rack that it can only do a half a rack of ribs. A full rack's about 13 ribs.
Okay.
And so I added chopsticks. I had some metallic tape that I put on chopsticks to extend it so I could do a whole full rack instead of half a rack.
Okay. Now, were they plastic chopsticks or metal or
Wood chopsticks.
Wood chopsticks. Okay.
They will be disposable, yes.
Yes. Yes. Okay.
So you can eat with them, so I don't see why you can't cook with them.
There you go. Well, there you go. That's probably a pretty reasonable way to put it.
And the reason we cook them standing straight up is twofold. One, you can just get more in there standing up. Sure. And two, you get two air spaces where the smoke and the heat comes up, so they cook on both sides. Hopefully, they cook through evenly.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah,
And
that's
now,
the two.
now, so they're going to be in there for at least 2, maybe 3 hours, and we'll know because we'll be checking the temp, correct? Or you'll know when it's time because you're.
I'll know by the smell.
You know by the smell. Okay, I'm sure you would also know by the fact that they would kind of fall right off the bone as you tried to pull them out.
And that is the key to competition barbecue.
Falling off the bone?
Not falling off.
Not falling off.
Not
the bone.
falling off the bone.
Well, there you go. So
And here's the reason. Because when you get falling off the bone ribs, they're overcooked. And you tend to taste the sauce more and not the pork.
Oh, there you go.
So if you get it, basically the Kansas City Barbecue Society, it's a one bite thing. So you would bite into it, catch the rib bone, slight tug, and you should leave a teeth mark impressions and some meat on the bone with a little glistening liquid on the bone itself.
Wow. Okay. Well, there you go. Now you know why I'm not a Kansas City barbecue chef. That's just a little too tough right there.
It's like anything else. It's
Yeah.
just
It's about the
just
love
learn
you
it.
put into it.
There you go. It's all about the love.
Excellent. All right. So then, and for you guys at home though, if you're not, after you do this maybe 10 times or so, you can just look and smell and know what it is. In the meantime, do me a favor and get a temperature thermometer and make sure it's if they're pork, they're at least at 145 before you start eating those. And then you're good to go. Okay?
And the key for barbecue is about anywhere from, depending on the piece of meat, 180 to 200 degrees Fahrenheit.
For a few hours and we're good.
And what that basically does is helps break down the collagen. That's where the flavor is when that collagen breaks down. It takes a good amount of time for it to break down properly.
Excellent. All right, so let's go to chicken now and show how we're going to do that.
Okay, the first thing, the chicken we're going to temp.
You're going to temp?
We're going to temp the chicken.
Okay.
I can't smell chicken.
Okay, so we will use our thermometer.
We will.
165 on chicken.
165 on chicken. We probably will take it out roughly 150. We'll
Okay.
put the sauce on it, throw it back in there.
Okay.
We may do that twice depending on how they look or how fast, if they just cook too fast. And,
Okay.
they're 165. I don't want to eat chicken around 180.
No, it's a little dry. Yep.
And so that is how we will cook the chicken. And I'm debating whether we should just use this rub or maybe we'll do half and half.
Yeah, do
this
half and
rub
half. Why don't you? We'll do some of that and then some of the other ones.
I don't know.
that
Why don't you
cook.
try? Why don't you? I'm going to let you pick for the next 5 pieces of chicken. Why don't you try a little bit?
Okay. Okay, that tastes similar to yours, wherein it's a little sweet, but it's a little saltier, I think.
Yes.
It's definitely saltier. It has some nice sweetness to it. I kind of like sweet, so I like his better already. But
Yeah, there's some interesting stuff. Lime juice. How they did that.
I
Corn
just
syrup
tasted the
solids.
lime, actually. The lime, just at the very end, is a little kick of lime, which is nice. Okay.
It's different.
And let me try this one. This is the other one?
Yeah, that's probably going to be a little bit more salty, a little bit more flavorful.
Really? It's a different color and all. I don't know if you can see that. Let me show it in the B-roll. Okay, it's a different color. Oh, that is definitely salty. But there's some flavor in there. What the heck is that?
There's a lot going on.
Oh my God, I
Stuff
have to
don't even
read
know what it
this.
is.
This is actually quite delicious. I think we might have to try this guy out.
Okay.
Chupacabra. That's going to be half our chicken right there. Beautiful. All right. We get rid of that. The plants will enjoy a little bit of the rub for their fertilizer. And
Okay, now
on.
I butchered the chicken already, and I marinated it in an Italian dressing. And when I say marinate, I don't mean swimming in Italian dressing. I just patted Italian dressing on it, put it back in a bag, and sat it in the refrigerator for overnight, I should say, but about 12 hours. And I also trimmed the chicken. And basically, the reason for trimming the chicken is they look better. This isn't a good piece. They're uniform pieces, and they'll look better in competition. For competition, I would trim them a lot more than this. But basically, what we'll do is we go by the bone and we try and have the same amount of meat over here as we have over here. There seems to be a little more over here, but
pepper. Right in my throat.
that's basically okay. I got this. So basically, we'll have 5 pieces of chicken here. We're going to do it the old, matter of fact, I'll turn them upside down. Note, see how they tend to be even. The bone here, same amount of meat over here as over there. Not only for presentation, but also they cook the same amount of time. And again, we're going to pat it dry. We'll do the chupacabra first. We're just going to do a light, because there's a lot of salt in this one, so it's not going to be as heavy as the sugar one that we just did for the ribs. Gets a little tricky in the wind. Turn these guys over.
All right, I'm going to live. All right, so that is actually much less than what you did on the ribs.
Yeah, I'll go a little heavier on the skin.
Okay, all right. Now, what about those folks who like to be a little bit better about their fat intake? Can you do these without the skin, or would you recommend they don't?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I wouldn't, but
it's not a problem.
if you got a fat issue, I've had them in contest without skin.
Really? Okay.
They don't do as well as skin, but they still taste good.
Okay.
So absolutely.
And I imagine that it's something you could pull the skin off later if you wanted to, right? If it's about the flavor, or
Actually, I would do it because you get the rub on the meat and just get rid of the skin.
get rid of the skin. You could then put it back over again if you wanted to, I guess, but probably not necessarily.
Well, and the key is nail the temperature,
Okay.
especially because you're not going to have that fat to fall back.
Got it. Got it. All right, so we're just sprinkling that pretty generously on top of these guys. And you patted them down to keep them nice and dry.
Yep. And if I don't have it here, but if I did, I'd probably add a little paprika to that. I like a little redness in my rubs.
Okay.
So right now, and the rest is just going to be barbecue sauce.
Oh, okay. So will you actually put the sauce on now, or
No.
No. Okay.
All saucing is usually done, depending on the size of the meat, 30 to within 15 minutes before we're ready to prep.
Okay.
Because you don't want to burn any of the sugar or over caramelize the sugar because it does not taste good. It just burns. Unlike the rub, when that overcooks, it turns into a bark and it's just absolutely delicious.
There you go. All right. So we have our first 6. These last 6, we're not going to season at all. We're just going to put right on the grill. Is that right? Or
No,
you're
no,
gonna,
no.
Or you're going to put that rub
we're gonna
on
do
there?
that rub.
Ah, okay. I misunderstood you there. All right.
Never smoke anything without a rub.
Okay. Rule number 1.
Because that's basically where a lot of the flavors come from. It comes from the rub itself.
Okay.
Especially like when it turns into bark, that nice hard bark.
Okay, we're going to do the underside here first. Now the wonderful thing about smoking meats too is that like braising, like slow roasting, it's really good for meats that are generally often very lean, and it's just a nice way to cook them. And those meats also tend to be a little less expensive, which is nice. So pork is certainly less expensive than beef is, and chicken obviously around the same amount. So it's really a nice economical way to cook as well. There you go. All right, so here we are with our 6. We're gonna douse those in the Fred rub. Fred's fantastic rub. We gotta come up with a good name for it.
Yeah, we have to.
Yeah.
I just invented it last night, so.
Yes. It is quite delicious, though, as I said and pointed out. I can't wait to try it on all of these different pieces of meat. Oh, sure, you have plenty here for us. Again, how he's making sure even the edges are covered. That's something you want to do here. And every bite should have the flavor you're looking for it to have. So whenever you're cooking anything, keep that in mind. Every bite needs to be the bite you intended it to be. It's probably like a good name for a cookbook or something. Every bite. There's probably one out there already like that.
There's so many cookbooks out there. It's just
I know.
insane.
I have thousands myself.
I do too. And I keep on buying more. Actually, I was shopping for these meats in a store, and I saw a bookstore. I picked up 2 cookbooks, and I said, "You don't need these." I threw them back. One was a barbecue cookbook, and what I wanted it for was for some type of barbecue dessert they did, like a flan or something.
Oh, very nice. All right, that looks fantastic. All right, so into
And there's
that.
our second batch.
And there we go. So we're going to take all of these now, and we're going to bring them on over to the smoker, and we'll show you where we put those. These are going on the top rack. As you notice, when we put the ribs in, I don't know if we showed you in our camera, but we will here. We took off the top rack and just reached down and put the rib rack in, and now we have the rack back on top, and that's where these are going to go. So we'll walk over there, we'll do that, and then when we come back, it's going to be time to do some sides while these are all cooking. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Cooking with Love. Now, as you saw, he just put the chicken on the grill, and now, or I should say the smoker. It's probably not officially a grill. I did put the chicken on the smoker. That's going to be ready in just a little while, and what we're hoping to happen is that the chicken will be ready the same time our sides are, and we'll be able to try all those together, and then we'll wait a little while longer, and then we'll try out those ribs. But for today's sides, I wanted to do something that was really nice and simple, something that you could do very simply and bring with you. It's all cold. We're not cooking anything. At least we're not right now. There are a couple of things that would have to be prepped beforehand, which I'll tell you about. But today we're going to do an edamame salad. And as you can see, if you're looking right here at our beautiful, huge portobello mushrooms. We're going to stuff these. And these here, as you can see, I've got some different sizes because you can do them all different sizes. Perhaps you want to have more small ones, then by all means do that. If you want to use this as a main entree for somebody who maybe doesn't like meat, you can certainly do that. This is a huge mushroom. And all we did here, or all we're going to do here is stuff these, and I'll show you how we're going to do that. So we're doing a stuffed portobello mushroom and an edamame salad. The edamame salad's got all kinds of great stuff into it, but we're going to start right now with the portobellos. And the reason I'm going to start with the portobellos is because they do need to be cooked. There is very few ingredients, excuse me, in this. This is my water. I still have that pepper. Excuse me. All right. So there's very few ingredients here. Let's cut this. Okay, sorry about that. Now we're back with our mushrooms here. The portobello mushrooms that we're going to stuff, as I was saying, you can use any size you want to. I like doing some of the large ones, especially you may have some people coming to your event, your barbecue, that are not meat eaters. That happens. Something like this would be a wonderful alternative for them. Or you can use smaller ones. We'll stuff these. You could use smaller ones and use these as appetizers or as a side themselves. At about this size is a great side to have with some of these ribs or chicken that we're going to be making. So what I'm putting in our stuffing is actually almost very similar to a artichoke and spinach dip. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our bowl here, and to that we're going to add a number of things. We're going to add some cream cheese, about 4 ounces of cream cheese to start. Put that right in our bowl. And it's better if you let that cream cheese soften for a little bit because you are going to be mixing this around quite a bit. To that, we're going to add, I think it's about half a cup of Parmesan. There I go again. Excuse me. And we have some pizza cheese here, mozzarella. As you can see, these are really low fat. And then what we're going to add to this is some chopped up artichoke hearts. So I have about, you probably want about 3 or 4 artichoke hearts, although these are pretty small. These are about the size of a walnut. Because of that, I went with like an extra one. I like them a little bit bigger, and because I don't have them a little bigger, I'm just going to get an extra one. All right? It's not rocket science here, so don't go crazy. Then I'm really just going to coarsely chop them. I'm not doing anything fancy. I just don't want anybody to get a huge chunk of the artichoke, but I do want the flavors of it, and I do want a little bit of that texture. So I'm just going to put that right in here. That looks pretty good. Give it a good little cut there, and put it right on into my bowl. The moisture from that will also help the mixture stay together. Finally, we have baby spinach. There's about 5 ounces of baby spinach here. I like to take it and just kind of squeeze it all together. It cuts nicer. And then I'm going to take it and just slice through it a few times that way and a few times this way. Because it's baby spinach, you don't have to worry about the stems. The stems are tender enough, you can just eat those as well. And I'm going to put that right in the bowl as well. I'm going to do the rest. Believe it or not, this entire bowl is about 5 ounces, and you will need it all. It does shrink up, so I'm going to put a little knife through it this way. And you can see this will be a delicious stuffing to go inside of our mushrooms. So I'm going to put that right in there. And notice I'm not like losing sleep over this. I'm just chopping. Don't make this hard. It doesn't have to be. You know, you just don't want to have big pieces that string out as you eat it. So just give it a little bit of a chop, a rough chop. Let's put that all in. Now we have all of our ingredients here. And what I find to be absolutely the best way to do this is with your hands. It's kind of like making meatballs. It's not something you do with a spoon, something you do with your hands. And it's really because that cream cheese is so thick. It helps you kind of move it aside and spread it around. I don't know if we can see that in the B-roll, probably a little bit here. But I'm saying it's not going to be a very wet stuffing, but there is quite a bit of cheese, so when it does cook, it's going to be yummy and melty. And the spinach itself will release a lot of water as well. So you'll end up draining a little bit of that off of your pan. I'm sure you'll notice as soon as you cook them. All right, so I've got that pretty well mixed. As you can see here, the cheeses are all mixed nicely. The artichoke hearts are in there, a little bit of chopped spinach. And now all I'm gonna do is gonna take each mushroom, and I'm gonna put a little bit inside. Now, there's a lot of cheese in here, so I don't want to overflow it, because if I mound it like you often see a stuffed mushroom like that, if you do that here, you're going to waste everything on the top, because that cheese is just going to melt right off into your pan. So when you're stuffing these mushrooms, keep them pretty much even with the top. And by the way, what I should have told you, don't need these, is that to clean the mushrooms, you want to take off the stems. Portobello stems are actually quite tough. So you'll just take off the stems and throw those away. And then I take a little spoon and I just scrape out the gills. All right, just easy. It's very simple to do. Scrape it out, and then I wash them really well. And that's how you're going to prepare these mushrooms. The reason why I scrape out the gills, by the way, is there's two reasons. One is because they create a very dark liquid. Because it's almost all of its coloring comes off in your food, so I like to avoid that as much as possible. And secondly, because these mushrooms aren't really curved, the stuffing area is pretty shallow, so this is just a tiny bit more area that you can stuff with, and everybody likes that, of course. So here I am. I'm going to put it in this large one here. See, I'm pressing it down a little bit. I bet you're already thinking, oh my God, that's going to be delicious. This should stuff probably, I'd say maybe 4 or so really big guys like that. You can even use regular mushrooms if you'd like to. These are actually baby Bella mushrooms, which I happen to like because they're nice and firm. They have great flavor. So these are baby Bellas. Oop. Put those right in there. We've got all those cooked. Can't you see how that would be a wonderful little side to have? And now we're going to put that's there, and we have plenty enough just for this last mushroom. All right. At this point, I'm actually going to put a little salt and pepper on the top of each. Now, you could have put it in the mix if you want to. Sometimes I like to put it right on the item so I can tell how much I'm putting on a particular one. So I'm just going to salt these just a touch, and then a little pepper. It's also nice to see that on top and to get that flavor right like that. And there we have it. These are our stuffed mushrooms. Now, there's a couple things we can do with these. As you can see, they're on a cookie sheet. We could put them in about a 375-degree oven. It'll take probably about 15-20 minutes, maybe 25, depending on for some of them to cook. And you don't have to cover them. You just leave them like that, pop them out, and you're all set. Or if you are at a barbecue, throw them on the grill. Just put them on a grill. We're going to actually try a few of these in the smoker. But if we had a regular barbecue grill, or if you have a barbecue grill, this is a very nice thing. Just pop it on there, cover the top. The cheese will melt. Keep in mind, all of the items inside are really perfectly fine to eat the way they are. So you're really just heating it through, making it a little bubbly, and cooking the mushroom. So that's really the time that it takes, is how long does it take to cook that mushroom and get it heated through, and it's not very long at all. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take these over to the smoker. We're going to put a couple in there, and then when we come back, we're going to clean this up a little bit, and we're going to show you how we make the edamame. All right, so the last thing we're going to make today is a salad to go along with all of this. We are going to make one of my favorite salads, which is something I've been eating probably the last year or two. I've really started getting into it. And this is an edamame salad. As most of you probably know, edamames are simply soybeans. You can get them in the pod, or you can get them shelled out of the pod. And we're using out of the pod shelled edamames for this. As part of this salad, we have just a bunch of different kinds of veggies. We're going to put them all together. It's incredibly simple. It is delicious, and the wonderful thing about this particular salad too is you can make it the day before, and it's perfectly okay. because it actually will marinate a little bit into the beans and that kind of thing, which is really quite a nice flavor. So I'm going to show you how we do it. We're going to start with our edamame. This is 1 pound of shelled edamame, and I have cooked these per package directions, which basically all that means is boil them for about 6 or 7 minutes. And once you do that, you drain them, cool them down, and we're ready to put them in our salad. So we're going to put those in our bowl. Alongside of that are a number of things. I like to put some whole kernel corn in here. So we've got that in here. That's probably about a cup of that. I like some chopped tomatoes in mine. We're going to add that there. There's about a cup of chopped tomatoes there. A little bit of chopped scallions, about a 1/4 cup, maybe a little bit more on that. And again, this, just like everything I teach you guys, especially things like this, if you don't like one of these ingredients, don't put it in. If you love one, put more of it. Don't overdo things too much, but you have a lot of leeway to go here as you're doing these different types of salads. The last couple things we're going to put in here, we have some black beans. You've probably seen these. You may not use these very often. These are just a plain black bean, but the key here is you want to drain them and rinse them, or else this salad will look terrible, because besides the fact that the juice in here has some preservatives in it I'd like to get rid of. Besides that, the juice is very dark and would make this salad probably look very unattractive. So I've already rinsed them. You can tell as they're coming out of here very easily. And to that, the last two little last ingredients. One is feta cheese. If you're not a feta fan, don't use feta, but it does work really well with the feta. It helps that whole saltiness part. And then finally, we're going to add about a 1/2 pound of dried cranberries. Now, I'm sure you're all saying, my goodness, there's a lot of stuff in that salad. And there is, but it's all good stuff. So I'm just going to toss this first by itself. Let all those flavors, it's also a very pretty salad, which is nice. I'm just going to toss those flavors here together. And then to that, I'm going to put in 1 9-ounce jar, bottle, whatever this is, of Yasu Greek dressing. Now, I happen to love this particular Greek dressing. I use it in a lot of my salads and all of that. Sometimes marinades. I use it strictly as a marinade for certain things. If you have your own favorite dressing, then by all means use that. I would highly recommend an oil and vinegar based one, however. And the Greek, because of the feta, of course, goes really well with this particular salad. So that's why we're using that. But again, there are creamy Greeks out there. There are all different types of Greeks. If you would rather use an Italian dressing, you certainly can do that. You might want to change out the feta for maybe a fresh mozzarella, little balls of fresh mozzarella, or something like that to be a little bit more in line with that. But beyond that, everything else is the same. So I'm going to shake this up. I'm going to open it up, and I'm literally just going to pour it all on here. And I'm going to let that, mix that all around. And that is really, I'm not going to actually add salt to this because the feta is in fact pretty salty. You can add a little if you want to. I am going to go ahead and add a little bit of black pepper. Just sprinkle that in nicely. Move that around. And there you have it. That is all there is to making the edamame salad. Now, of course, it takes some time to prepare it, right? So I had to cook the edamames. I had to cook the corn. By the way, if you have grilled corn on the cob and cut the kernels off, it's a wonderful addition to this salad. This was simply frozen corn that I made. The black beans, of course, all of these, the black beans, just rinsing those, that's not huge prep work. But beyond that, there is a little prep work you have to do. But it is, as you can tell, a very simple salad to go along with this. And as I said, one of the great things about it is you can make this now, cover it with saran wrap, put it in your fridge. Tomorrow before you head to your barbecue, or later this afternoon, or whatever it is, give it a nice little toss. Maybe sprinkle a little more just plain feta on top for the view of it, and you are good to go. So now what we're going to do, now that we have our sides made, we're going to go check on our mushrooms, see how they're doing. and we're going to check on our chicken and ribs, and very shortly we're going to come back and do some tasting. So that's my favorite part. We'll see you shortly for that. And welcome back, and now it's the good stuff, right? Now we do that second step. If you remember in the beginning of the show, when Fred was explaining how we do the different cooking parts of it. First, of course, is to butcher it properly, which he's done. Secondly, we patted them dry.
Have them dry.
We added, then we did our rubs to it, flipped them over, did the rub really well all over, and then we had it on our smoker for quite some time. You've seen us take it off the smoker. It's not cooked yet. It's at 155 right now. And please, never eat chicken that's not at 165 or above. But these last 10 degrees, we're going to cook with some sauce on them. So why don't you tell me about the different sauces and how you do those?
Okay, we have two different sauces here. Stub sauce. This is actually what I'm going to use on the ribs. It's called sticky sweet. It pretty much works good on anything. Anything up in New England, sticky and sweet's usually a big seller. And this is actually one of my favorite sauces that I found out about 2 weeks ago.
Nice.
The one we're going to do is the original barbecue, Stubbs' original barbecue, which is just pretty much goes on anything. You can go with pork, chicken, and this is a pretty good sauce, but I really like this sauce for the ribs.
Great.
So what we're going to do is we're going to use the original, and we're going to start with, this is the ones we use, the Chupacabra rub, and it's a bit more saltier than this one that we have over here that's darker, has a lot of brown sugar and more paprika than you'll see in this one. Plus there was a lot more rub on this.
I'm going to bring it forward just so we can see it a little bit up closer. That's the one that you did. This is the rub that Fred made.
Yes, this is the rub I did. That rub right there.
Right, and then this one here, as you can tell, much lighter. And admittedly, we put less on it.
Yes.
But still, even so, the coloring of the rub is much lighter. But both of those are what we're working with here.
Yes. And now what we'll do is we're just going to do a little saucing on the bacon. I think I can do this without messing up this.
Oh, don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it.
Do whatever you need to do.
We got more foil?
We have plenty of foil.
Okay, I'm going to do it on the foil.
All right, so he's going to do it the right way, which is get it all good and juicy and all that, and get all this stuff on top.
Okay, so I'm going to take they're cooked, so it's not a sin. Well, they're not cooked, but it's not a sin if you use your hands.
Especially since we're going to eat them.
Yes.
Now, if I was at the restaurant, I wouldn't do this because, you know, people get picky about people touching their food. I don't understand.
Well, I guess that's the thing now. It's before, if it's going to the customer, you can't touch it. But if it's not going to the customer, you're just working with it. You can work without gloves, I'm told.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. No, it's called food ready to eat. Anything ready to eat, you can't touch. But prior to that, you can. I find it better practice, however, when you are dealing with raw meats and all. I find it always nice to keep gloves on and that kind of thing. All right, so you're just going to dab a little bit on each one to start. That's not a little, I guess. You're going to dab a good amount on each one.
We have plenty of tin foil.
Yes. We're going to dab a good amount on each one. I imagine he's then going to take one of his select brushes we have and rub that all over it. Every little bite, remember, we've talked about that so many different times.
I could just smell the sauce right now.
Yeah, it really does smell delicious here. Now this is the original.
This is Stubbs' original.
Okay. If you have your favorite your own favorite, use that. I actually have a wonderful recipe for a barbecue sauce. Maybe one of these days we'll do that as well. Which you know, is made with Coca-Cola, believe it or not, and a few other things. So
maybe I'll trade my rub recipe.
Maybe that'll work. In the meantime, I'm just going to steal your rub. That's what I'm going to do.
It's not a hard rub.
There you go. Just put that skin back right on there. Flip it over. We're going to do the same thing. And now, the reason why we're doing it this way, and we might have touched on it earlier, but just to reiterate, you know, when you have barbecue, it's already messy, right? So you don't need to have it even more messy and wet. So by putting the barbecue sauce on towards the end here, there's a couple of things that happen. As Fred mentioned before, it prohibits it from burning, and it'll actually taste like it's supposed to, as opposed to getting that bitterness you get when you do burn something. And secondly, we'll put it back on the grill at this point because it will help us dry that sauce out. So we have a dry rub, we have a wet sauce, but we don't want to end up with a really wet, messy piece of chicken because, as you know, a lot of barbecues you're eating with your hands. So this will help that dry out, and it'll be much easier to eat, much neater to eat.
Another reason I like these barbecue sauces, a lot of barbecue sauces, they'll have corn syrup to thicken them. And this is kind of a more waterier sauce instead of that real thick sauce that you're going to take a lot of time to get that to all the oxygen to evaporate inside the smoker, and it's just really sticky.
Yeah.
Where eventually you'll see it.
The corn syrup won't have it.
It just won't be as sticky.
With the corn syrup, you deal with that as well. And as you may or may not know, a lot of that corn syrup in your ingredients not good for you anyway. You don't need that extra sugar.
It just makes a great thickener.
Yeah. All right, so we've got that first batch there. And we're going to do the other batch of chicken, then we're going to go bring it over to the smoker, put that back in. It'll probably take another, maybe 10 minutes, Fred?
Yeah, probably 10 minutes.
About 10 minutes to get it back up to where it's supposed to be. After we do that, we're going to give it a taste. Our mushrooms, by the way, we just checked those a little while ago. They're looking absolutely delicious. Those are ready to go. Beautiful thing about the smoker is if you leave them in the smoker, because the heat is not really hot in there, you can leave them a little longer and you're not going to get in too much trouble. If your chicken isn't quite ready, leave them in there kind of to stay warm until you're ready to eat them. So we actually smoked a couple of the mushrooms, and we also cooked the others in the oven. So we'll do it both ways here. Me, Fred, and the rest of my folks who are going to try this can tell us which way they prefer.
I already got a feeling I'm going to like this batch better.
You think?
Yeah.
Oh my God, I want to eat that skin right now. It's so good. Yeah, so you can see here, you got to be generous. This has got to be well coated. This is not a job for the faint of heart.
No, barbecue is truly love.
Yeah, there you go.
Because there's a lot of work. It's a lot of prep work involved. Luckily, I had this sauce where I could say, I can use this store sauce instead of using another sauce. Plus, all the homemade sauces that I make, no one likes them. They like the other stuff that I do. The stuff I get from the store and just throw it together.
Well, that'll be your next thing you master then.
Yeah.
The barbecue sauces. Clearly, you got the rub down, so I'll have to let you try my recipe.
You can do that. They got a few. They got a Dr. Pepper recipe. They got a Coca-Cola recipe.
Okay, these look amazing. Absolutely amazing. Our studio audience agrees.
Very amazing.
All right, so now we're going to bring these on over to the smoker. We'll be back in just a second. We're going to give those a few minutes to cook. Once those are done, we'll come back and we'll give them a shot and see how they go. We'll see. And welcome back. We are almost done, believe it or not. What you can see in front of us is some amazing pork, and what you can't do is smell it. And all I can tell you is that's too bad, because this stuff smells amazing. So we have one more step, right?
Yep.
Okay, so we have reached 180 degrees on the pork. Mm-hmm. If you can look closely at some of this, it's already starting to come off the bone. Here, let me show it with a little spoon here. It's starting to come off the bone already. And we have that one final step. As you know, as he taught us earlier, you don't sauce in the beginning, you sauce at the end. And then we work to dry that sauce up. So, Fred, why don't you sauce these bad boys for us, and then we can go from there.
I don't have tongs, but
There you have your hands.
there you go. That's why they call it barbecue.
Yeah, but I give you some gloves. That might help. At least one of them. They're kind of hot. So, there you go. So we're going to, just like the others, we sauce both sides. Is that correct?
That's correct.
All right. I'm just going to show you how we do it with one here. And after I show you that, then we're going to finish them up. We're going to get them back in the smoker for the last few minutes. and then we are going to be good to go.
I'm a righty.
Ah, that's kind of funny. Yeah, that ain't gonna work.
Now you.
Can we try it? All right.
Okay. Sauce. The same. We're using. I'm sorry. The sticky sweet sauce for the ribs. It's a little different than the original. I probably should shake it up a little. And again, we generously pour this on.
Nice. Okay, you can really see, I'm not sure if you can see it up close, maybe we can get you a close-up shot of, it's really starting to caramelize. In and of itself, it was caramelizing. You can see them getting nice and dark on the edges, which means we're pretty close here. Alright, so just like every little nook and cranny there. Don't forget this bad boy down here. There you go. And then we flip them over and do it again. Nice. So this little bad boy there is already off. Nice. There you go. This looks pretty good, I must say. And as I said, what you don't know is what this smells like. And you can smell the sweet from the sugar he has in there. You can absolutely smell the cumin, some of the allspice. I can smell all of that just standing right here. And these aren't even done yet. Pretty close.
That's the thing about when you do a low and slow technique. All these spices develop
Yes.
later in the cook.
Right.
You don't doesn't taste as much when you although you do taste it in the rub. But she's rifling off the spices. I'm going, I smell that. I smell that.
Yeah, exactly. Those look perfect. So I'm going to move this pan aside for you. You can do the rest of them. Actually, I'll move this whole thing and I'll make sure we can see those. I'm going to move this just aside here for a moment. And I'm going to move this. There we go. Okay, these last couple. And while he's doing that, we're going to sign off here for a little bit, and we're going to let him finish that. And we should be back in about 10 or 15 minutes. Again, all we want to give this a little bit more time to dry that sauce out and to be ready to eat. So our next time we come back, we're going to be having some delicious smoking barbecue. All right, it is time. It is the favorite time of the show where we actually get to eat what we've made. And Fred, we put these back into the smoker. It took about, what, 15 minutes or so?
About 15 minutes for the water to evaporate from the sauce, and then you get this nice glazed sauce.
Really, these look amazing, as you can tell from looking at them. And as you know, we also did the chicken. So over here, I'm not sure if we can see this, but let me bring it over here for a moment so you can. So we have our chicken as well that we've done right here. And we have our two different kinds of rubs we had. The darker one, you can tell, is the main rub. And then this one here, those over there, I believe, were more that other store-bought one that we had used, right?
Yes.
All right, so now what we're going to do is I'm going to have Fred show you how we cut these up and make some plates, and we're going to give it a shot here. What do you think?
Excellent.
All right.
We're actually going to do, there's a special way you cut these, but I'm going to do even a special cut, which is known as a Hollywood cut or a Cadillac cut. And basically what it is you sacrificing a bone. So you get basically three ribs, or I shouldn't say 3 ribs. You're actually getting 2 ribs on one bone.
Oh, okay.
And I'll show you exactly how that works. And,
Okay.
and it gives it a nice bite, and it's a bigger bite you can take out of it.
Okay.
So we turn these upside down when we cook these. So basically, if we were to do this, I would cut this bone here.
Nice.
And then go to the next bone over to here. There's a tough bone.
Getting the bone there. There you go. That should. Nice big ribs. There we go.
Yeah, the ribs are kind of, they're not the straightest ribs either. Which hopefully will get better in the middle.
Alright. You just cut us a couple. I'm trying from this main top one. They're hot too, so he's having a little difficulty. I probably should have given him better gloves to wear, but
Yeah, like I said, the ribs.
yeah, there we
Pull
go.
this one right out.
I just want to jump in and eat some of this, so there we go. Beautiful.
See how the ribs kind of crooked there.
Yeah, it's making you go around them. Beautiful. Great.
Be a nice one to try.
That's
This one.
nice. Oh yeah, it's hard to follow the line of those ribs, but
Actually, this bone's going here.
uh,
This pig looks like it's been in a fight.
uh, poor little guy is hurting. But I think that'll do it for our tasting. You're making me wait way too long over here. There we go.
One big one right there.
So if you remember, while he's finishing up that, we also did our stuffed mushrooms, and those are right here. Now, something I want to show you here is this back one here that actually looks really nice and still like a mushroom. That actually was smoked. That was done on the grill, as were these little guys. These last two here, and actually I'm going to bring that and overtake his space here. You can see these last two, you can see they were cooked in the oven, and they kind of fell a little bit. So it looks like the smoker might actually, or the grill, actually keeps them a little bit more mushroom-like, if you will. But we're going to try those. They're both going to be delicious, of course. And what I'm going to do while he's finishing up that is I'm going to take a rib here. Okay, and I'm going to take here, I'm going to use this here. I'm just cut a little piece of chicken at the moment. Oh, I forgot there's bones in there. So, here, you want to make some plates up with that?
Okay.
And do that. Okay.
This rib there.
I know a member of our studio audience would like some food, so we're going to give her some as well. Remember, we have the edamame salad. Go ahead, you can do some of that. I'm going to take half of this mushroom. All right. And I'm going to do that. And some of this. This, again, has been marinating for a little while, which is really nice. I'm just going to put a little bit on the plate here, and let's take a look. You ready? Oh, you haven't tried chicken yet. You need to try some chicken. Yeah, I'm giving you that. There you go.
Okay.
All right, you ready? You
Let's
ready
do it.
for this? Did I give you a fork? There you go. You take that one. They're all the same. All right, well, I got to go with the rib first myself. Okay, here's the reveal. You ready? Okay. Oh, yeah, that's yummy. Now, the thing about this is, you can probably tell by looking at me, I already have it all over my mouth. You have to eat these with friends. Because anybody else will think you're a slob. But they'll know that you know how to eat well. So, I would say that's absolutely delicious.
It's very good.
It is.
I do like that rub, I must say.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. You can taste the sweet. You can taste all those flavors that we talked about. I'm going to wipe this all over me. Now let's go to the chicken. How about that? You want a little knife for that? Let's try that chicken. This looks pretty amazing as well. You can take a little bite of that. What are you thinking? What are you tasting with that? What's the first thing that you flavor there? Oh, that's delicious.
Mostly chicken because I don't get any skin. But I do taste the hickory smoke a little bit.
Absolutely. And the apple wood, actually, I can taste a little bit of that going on. Now we're going to try a little of the edamame salad. My God, this is a fun tasting. We get to eat all kinds of stuff. Delish. So, the thing about that Greek dressing that I told you about It has some wonderful flavors in it. It's got just a touch of oregano. And I'm not a huge oregano fan, I gotta admit, but it really does well in here. And when you combine that with that tiny bit of sweet we have with the cranberries in here, as well as the rest of the veg, this really makes a very nice, refreshing salad.
I love the watermelon with the goat cheese.
The watermelon.
With the goat cheese.
Oh yes, it's a wonderful salad for sure. All right, and then finally, our mushroom. I think we did pretty well here, Fred.
Yeah, we did very well.
All right, those mushrooms are delicious. With those, I had the one that was in the smoker. The mushroom itself is still nice and firm, so you get a bite out of it. And I really enjoy it with the spinach and the artichoke in there.
Yeah, it's good.
All right. I gotta admit though, my mother did try one a little while ago because I just finished them and she told me they needed salt. So hey, make sure you check your seasonings before you give them to your customers or to your family or whoever's eating, because your mother will probably tell you it needs more salt. So, well, Fred,
Awesome. We finally
My God.
got this done.
and I swear to God, this is a show I've been wanting to do for quite a while because Fred is like the master barbecuer here. And now we have a lot of food we have to go eat. So, what I'm going to tell you now is make sure you try these. If you have always wanted to try smoking something, by all means, I hope this gives you a little bit of braveness, courage, I guess is the right word, to actually go and do it. This has really been a wonderful show. Fred, thank you so much for doing
Thank
this
you.
with us. I got to admit that this is one show, I think there's probably more love in this show than probably many of the others we've ever done.
A lot went on here.
A lot went on.
here.
We had a lot of stuff. There's the different pieces. It's not an easy thing to do. I should say it's an easy thing, but it's time consuming.
It is time.
There are steps, and you can't cut corners.
It's like anything else when you're cooking. It's just step oriented and bang, bang, bang.
There you go, and you're
And then
good
there's
to go.
downtime.
Right. All right. So we're gonna go clean ourselves up. Well, actually, we're gonna eat more first. Then we're gonna clean ourselves up. And I wish all of you a very wonderful day. And I hope you have summer filled with delicious barbecues. I hope it give you some ideas for your next one. And as always, whatever you do, just make sure you do it with a little extra love. Bye bye.